Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to the Brand Bite Podcast. I'm your host, Hunter Myers, and I'm super duper excited to be welcoming Meaghan Wall to the show today. So Meaghan is known for bringing hot girl energy into bookkeeping and business finances, which I cannot wait to talk about. So she'll do your bookkeeping, but in a hot girl way, meaning it's non-judgmental, strategic, and fiercely focused on making all your big, hairy dreams come true while being unapologetically yourself. She gives you permission to be silly, girly, and spoiled, and to be the grown, confident CEO who shall not be fucked with. So, Meaghan, please tell us how you got into entrepreneurship in the first place. We're going to dive into this brand in a second, but I want to know your business story first.
Okay, cool. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's amazing to be here. I am now a two business owner. I am a serial entrepreneur at this point. I have been in business for 7 years. I started after I got fired from my last job at a CPA firm in Manhattan. And that's my claim to fame, is being fired. So my husband and I just had the conversation, okay, should I try to find another job or should I just, do my own thing? And at that point I had started freelancing a little bit here and there, doing bookkeeping, and back at that in 2018, Instagram was a different landscape, and you could just pop into people's DMs and be like, hey, do you need a bookkeeper? And people would be like, yeah, I do. And it wasn't weird or sleazy to pitch people in the DMs at that point. So that's where I got most of my clients to begin with. And then, it kind of developed, it transformed into a money and business coaching business. So I was no longer doing done-for-you services at all for 5 years. And then that really wasn't working. It was draining the life out of me. And also because I was highly suppressed on all the social medias that I was on, because at the time I was very sensual and called myself an erotic money coach. So you can imagine how pissed off Instagram was at me for being an erotic money coach. So I kind of pivoted and started working with a couple different financial professionals at the beginning of 2024 last year. And through some extenuating circumstances, both of those partnerships ended up blowing up in flames within 2 weeks of each other for different reasons. And I had already grabbed the Girl CFO Instagram handle, hadn't even posted once on it yet. Didn't know what I was going to do with it at all, and was just like, you know what, let's go full send on a new done-for-you bookkeeping and fractional CFO business. And that's the whirlwind that I've been on over the last year or so, 13 months or so at this point, yeah.
Well, I love this kind of roller coaster, it sounds like, and this is something everyone listening, please take away from this, that you get to try and do a lot of things. There is so much trial and error in entrepreneurship. I'd love to talk a little bit about some of those pivotal moments for you when you were like this is blowing up, or oh my gosh, I lost my job. What were some of the things that were kind of going through your head right in that pivot? Because I know for me, when I got furloughed, and actually I just lost my biggest client, he passed away. So oh my gosh. And so it's in those moments you experience so many feelings, and I want to make sure that we share that with the audience, because one of the big reasons I started this was just to show everyone you're not alone in those big feeling times. So what was that like for you in each of those pivotal moments?
It's so funny because you don't necessarily know that they're going to be pivotal moments at the time. I mean, the more you live through them, the more you're like, I bet this is going to be a big crossroads for me in the future to look back on. At the time, it wasn't some I'm going to start my own business for any XYZ reason. Specifically, it was just kind of this is what I want to do. This sounds fun at the time, and let me see how it goes. And my husband, and I'm always fully transparent with this bit of my story, is that my husband was able to support us this whole time for the last 6 to 7 years, while I pretty much reinvested every single penny that I made back into my business. So that is a huge point of privilege that I had in building my own business, and I will never fault anybody else for running their business a different way who doesn't have that sort of support system. But yeah, he's always been my biggest support, and at every moment, he's always just been like, babe, do what you're gonna do, do whatever the fuck you want. And having him was the biggest, the reason why I'm still in business, still doing this, is because of him. And I would also be remiss to not mention my diagnosis that I got at the end of last year. I have Parkinson's disease, and so I've just been on medication that actually works for me. over the last, I guess it's been a year and a half or so. So when I started actually, I say recovering, but like it was really night and day from when I was having my tremors and the worst of my symptoms of Parkinson's to starting this medication. It was like my life completely 180'd and is like completely different than it was back before. So actually being able to sit down and clickety clack on my computer and not click 100 different things on the screen because my tremors are going crazy, like, is, life changing and business changing. And the fact that I'm able to actually sit and do a job and not be handicapped is incredible. So very thankful for my doctor in that regard.
Yeah, well, I feel like the support systems that we have are things that I'm so glad you brought up, because I think we get into this kind of zone where we overlook it, right? Like we're like, oh, like I'm in the business, I'm in the weeds of it. And we forget sometimes like all of these external people who play a part in our success and our support. And so I love that you bring up your partner. I'm so fortunate to have a partner who, we sat down and I was like, look, this is what's up. And she's like, I got us. Okay. Like we'll figure it out. I got us for now, And so it's nice to be able to have that. And like you said, like if you don't have that, don't let other people tell you then how to run your business who have, a security blanket of sorts. Like run your business how you need to run your business. And speaking of, I want to circle back to this Parkinson's piece, because I think this is something that we also don't see talked about very much, is like running a business while handicapped and like what that is like. And can you kind of speak to that a little bit and how you navigated through it and what you learned kind of in the process, or how you managed some of those things?
Yeah, well, first of all, I met your partner at this last conference that we were both at. She was so sweet and so just like supportive of you from the audience. I just thought it was so sweet. But yeah, working with Parkinson's was not fun, to say the least. I found that like I was using my business a lot to try to reconnect with myself and my identity as a business owner, and like using it to reconnect to my eroticism and my life force energy and the things that I felt like I was losing every single day, and watching literally the light run out of my eyes, and just like people who I didn't even know very well before and after I started taking my meds were like, you're a totally different person now that you're on your meds. And just like, it was really difficult. And I know that my audience could feel and see my almost desperation through the screen, through my messaging, through my marketing. And, it is why what I believe my first business wasn't super successful. Like the done for you stuff when I started at the beginning was always easy to sell. People always need bookkeepers. They're always going to need somebody in money to take care of that. So I never had a problem with selling the bookkeeping. But when I transitioned to just money and business coaching, it was so much more difficult. It never took off the way that I wanted it to, the way that the Hot Girl CFO has. When I finally got on medicine that actually worked for me, I was able to actually rediscover who I am and what I like and my personality. And I think that's really like my message, and what's coming through my marketing and messaging today is like, I am known for my personality in the finance space. And like, that's what I'm trying to teach other finance professionals, because I know so many of my friends are like amazing people, and they just like come off so boring online. And I'm like, no, we can do so much better.
Well, your personality and your brand online is what like drew me to you immediately. I was like, we got to get Meaghan on the podcast. This is so good. There is so much like spice in what you share. Also, just like the fact that you're like no more essentially broy bookkeeping. Okay. Like, let's nix that. Like, this is awful. We can be something else. And I feel like it's so refreshing to see someone stand so boldly in a brand, because I feel like it's something that we're having pushed a little bit more, like show your personality, be yourself, but it's so difficult to step into that and be brave enough to show up and do that online, not just for a community, but like for yourself too. It's something that I've struggled with as a brand designer, right? Where I'm like, I'm telling other people to do it and I'm like, but I'm going to hide over here. It's like, Hunter, you can't do that anymore. So I want to really dive into that and like how you came to this personality and what it was like to bring new elements of it into this brand and kind of this journey. Because this is something that I really hope a lot of our listeners will start to do in their own brands, because I'm telling you, like, this is the route that we are headed. People are so over the same cookie cutter bullshit. So Meaghan, give us your master class on being you.
Okay. I'm ready, because like this is like I'm literally building a mastermind for other financial professionals so to be known for their fucking personalities. So this is my spiel, okay? So like from the beginning, well, first of all, people literally thank me for having a personality in finance. Like I get those messages all the time. People will literally say, "Thank you so much for having a personality and not being some crusty dusty, like boring ass financial professional." And I honestly take pride in the fact that I have a fucking personality and I'm not so boring. And I will say, I believe that even boring people have personalities. Okay, like you can, somebody out there likes you, I promise. So all that to say that like from the beginning, like from the very beginning of the inception of the Hot Girl CFO, it was a very intentional decision that I made that this business was going to be corset with a blazer, you know, very like focused on young, cutting edge, and like forward thinking financial practices. I was going to do everything super high end. I mean, I've heard all of the complaints, right? I can't ever get in touch with my bookkeeper. She doesn't answer my emails, or he isn't available except for like literally once a year, and or I feel like they're too busy for me. All of these things. Like I've heard it all, and I really wanted to address and be the fix, be the solution for each one of those issues. And not only that, like not getting consistent financials from their professional, like not understanding, not feeling comfortable enough to ask questions is a big one as well. So all of these things, I really went into like the very intentionality, the intentional nature of how I talk about my services as well as how I deliver my services in the back end.
Well, the crusty dusty, I remember you saying that online and was cracking up. And I think it's so smart that your approach to this has been like, what are the complaints that I am seeing? How can I differentiate myself from all of these other people in the industry? And I feel like you're in such a unique industry that is so, I feel like, cookie cutter and old school and needed a refresh. And like you stepped up and you were like, perfect, I got this. So I want to talk about the eroticism side of it and like bringing kind of that eroticism and that hot girlness to finances in particular, and how you're blending an otherwise like a kind of boring topic that a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't want to think about my money and my finances. Right. And you're like bringing it to life and re-injecting this energy into it that is getting people excited. Like, never in my life did I think that I would say I'm excited to talk to a fucking bookkeeper, you know? But I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm pumped to talk to this bookkeeper, you know? And so, like, please tell people how you started to make that blend possible.
Yeah, so I really noticed, well, from the beginning, I knew that I didn't want to work with DIYers and I didn't want to work with people who needed to be taught how to do bookkeeping. That is not my zone of genius. I'm not going to teach you how to use QuickBooks. So I did create a QuickBooks course back in the day, back in 2018, and didn't sell a single one of them. And I think it was because I knew from the beginning that I did not want to work with DIYers. And I think that there is this natural inclination to kind of fall back on the educational content that would naturally speak to a DIYer. So it's very easy to be like 3 tips to use QuickBooks, or this is how you log income. And don't get me wrong, I do include some of those types of content in my spread, but it takes up very small percentage of what I actually post about in my brand pillars. So I knew that I wanted to speak to a more high level client and someone who was more ready to literally hire me to do it for them. And which is where I see a lot of bookkeepers where they're at, is that they want to move away from speaking to the DIYer to speaking to people who will actually pay them to do the thing. So I intentionally started using big dick energy, like, I am amazing. Look at, like, this is the transformation and experience that my clients get when they work with me. That is the differentiator. And like the attitude that I put behind it was so intentional and so like poignant that it was like, I very purposefully did not do any educational content and very purposefully talked about how amazing I am, how amazing my clients are, like whatever incredible transformation they get. So it's like, when you're ready to move from DIY clients to people who want to spend high ticket money with you, you have to speak to like what is different about your experience, because they just think that your experience is going to be the same as everything they've ever known, which is dry, can't reach, inconsistent, scary, boring.
I love this topic of content, right? Because that is one of the biggest ways that we market nowadays, and is how we're showing up for people. And I think you're right. I mean, what we've been taught for the last, oh my God, how many years now? Educate, 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 educate.
Value.
Yes. And it's like, okay, but wait a second. Like, I'm dropping value out the ass. Why am I not being paid? And so you bring up this very important part that I hope people are listening to, where you've got to speak to the kind of client that you want to be. Like, DIYers want to be educated. They want to learn all of it. But people who want to hand off their stuff, they're like, I don't give two shits. Like, I want to know that you know what to do, but I don't need to know how QuickBook works. Cause like, that's why I'm hiring you, And so to really change that. And I love this big dick energy, please, all day long, every day. I want to hear some of the ways that you feel like, and if you've got examples, great. If not, it can kind of be more generalized, but how you really bring that energy into your brand. So you talked about like, I talk about that I'm amazing, my clients are amazing. Do you have any specific stories that you feel like you share or even want to share here so people can really grasp what this big dick energy looks like in your brand?
Yeah. The biggest thing that I feel like I lean into is the experience that my clients get. Not just like, I'm amazing and I'm, toss, I'm an excellent bookkeeper, but like much more about, like I said from the beginning, the intentionality that I wanted to make my experience different from everyone else's. So I highlight that on the regular, and especially on Threads. I'm talking about how like the high-end experience that my clients are getting, the types of reports that they get, the specific ways in which my experience is different than with someone else. And I take those exact words that people have said to me in the past, their exact language, their exact verbiage, I can't reach my bookkeeper, all of the things that I mentioned before, and I put them in just a different POV and say, I am the person that does not make you go through these things. And I think there's even a difference between like the person who's just ready to outsource their bookkeeping. They're just at like that 6-figure level where like they've just hit 100K. Maybe they're just like learning what a bookkeeper does and that they actually need a bookkeeper. And then there's a difference between someone who knows they need a bookkeeper, who knows what type of bookkeeper they want. Maybe they've had a bad bookkeeper in the past and they know exactly what they're looking for. I speak to those people specifically as well. So I don't educate my clients. So there's a difference. In my mind, there's a differentiation between educating on like how to do the thing and also educating on why you need me in your business. So there's like, 3 reasons why you might be ready for a bookkeeper, or like these things might tell you that, this is the next step for you. I don't do any of that sort of content. None of that. I mean, I do a little bit of like educational and like, this is a KPI and like, this is what you might want to track, but I never tell people why they need me. I speak to the person who already knows they need me.
If that is not the definition of fucking big dick energy, I don't tell people, that they need me, because these motherfuckers already know they need me. Yeah. Like, God damn. I love it. I freaking love it so much. What are some of the reactions that you feel like your audience and clients are giving your brand, especially this one compared to the one that you said you couldn't really get off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day, like I said. Just like I knew pretty much from the first few times that I posted on Threads and on Instagram that this business would be successful over the other business. Now, how quickly, I wasn't sure because I'd never experienced it before, but the engagement and the reaction that I was getting just from people in the audience, it was like literally like they were exhaling, just like, oh my God, thank you so much for just like being different and being I hope that I'm not like coming across as like, oh my God, I'm so amazing. You should like bow down. No. I'm like a lot of this was intentional, and I will say that I almost do kind of play a character sometimes when I'm online. I play up a lot of my personality. Not that I play up, or not that I lie about the experience or any of that kind of stuff that my clients actually get. It's much more of like, I don't really talk the way that I talk a lot of the times when I'm writing my Threads posts, if that makes sense. Like they're very much more like slang heavy than I actually speak in normal reality, because I'm a millennial and I don't use a lot of the like Gen Z terminology that I like throw in my content sometimes. So that's just to say that I'm like a little bit more casual in normal conversation than I am online. But yeah, I'm sorry, did that answer your question? Because I forgot the question already.
This is perfect because I feel like this gives us an opportunity to really talk about how you show up online and in your brand as a business owner, and that you can have like you don't have to be 100% full-fledged you. Like, guys, I got jumpsuits. I got colorful jumpsuits because I didn't want to have to think about what I was going to put on. You know what I wear most of the time? Sweats and a t-shirt. Like that is what I'm in, but you will only ever see me here in these jumpsuits. And so like there are so many things about your life that can be a little more reserved or pulled back in a brand, and you can, like you said, kind of play up these parts of your brand in your messaging, in maybe the way that you dress or things like that, to really emphasize the feeling you are trying to create. So I'm so glad that you brought this up, because I think it's a really important thing that everyone listening should take away when it comes to branding, is like you can have characters in the brand.
Right.
Like obviously, don't mislead people, don't be sketchy as shit, but you
Right.
know, like it's like
But
think
in
about
my mind, it's like a whole brand experience. It's like, yeah, it's like, okay, who do I present? Like, who is the hot girl CFO? You know, like I really had to like I step into an identity that I had never like embodied before, and I there was a huge disconnect. I remember specifically working with my coach on this of like, who is she? Is she like, she's not me. Like I don't wear corsets and blazers like on a day-to-day basis. Like that's not me. But then every time I go out as the hot girl CFO, I'm going to a conference or wherever I'm going, I show up in my corset and blazer. I'm presenting myself as the hot girl CFO.
yes, exactly. Well, it's like Beyonce, and what is like I think she said that it's like Sasha Fierce is her like alter
Yeah.
ego. It's like an alter ego that you step
Yeah.
into. Which I actually, speaking of eroticism, I worked with an erotic coach. Her name is Regini, and she was partnered with, oh my gosh, what is her name? I cannot remember it to save my life. But part of this was about like building these personas and creating these alter egos. So I love that even in
Mm.
a bookkeeping business, like you've pulled that same like part of yourself through to create this persona that steps into the room in your business. So I think this is so freaking cool.
Yeah, and I forgot you completely. You did ask me about the eroticism aspect of it, and that is something that like it's so funny because I never use the words like money is sexy, or like I never explicitly say things like money is erotic, and which and like in my last business I used to. Like I used to say things like that all the time, and I think there was a little bit of a disconnect there just because like I'm woo, okay? But I think I was trying to be much more woo than I am in my old business, and it was causing a little bit of a disconnect in the identity that I was presenting. Whereas like the Hot Girl CFO is definitely an elevated version of myself. It's still me. Like she is me, whereas the person that I was in my last business was not me. And there's a difference there, and like the character, the identity that I'm putting on is still me, just maybe extrapolated a little bit as opposed to like being someone I'm not.
Yes, well, I actually had a super similar experience in my business. So luckily, I just rebrand myself so many times early on when I was trying to figure my shit out. But I was like, you know what? Like, I want to work with luxury businesses. Like, that's where the money's at. So I'm like, I need to create this very luxury persona. When I shop at a motherfucking thrift store. Like, I have stepping foot into a luxury store, like I feel like I break out in hives. Like it's just not me, you know? And so I feel like there was a huge disconnect there too. And now like I love that you brought up it's kind of like extrapolating like the parts of yourself and emphasizing those parts. Like they're still you, but they're a little more in the forefront than maybe like everyday you is. And I feel like that is exactly how I feel in my own brand now as well. And anyone listening, like if you are not feeling that yet, like you can get there. Reach out and get help from someone if you need, journal about it, like really sit down and figure out who you are. Because I promise you, like business, at least from my experience, and Meaghan, I'd be excited to hear yours too, but like business feels so much easier when your brand feels more aligned with you and you're not showing up as an imposter, you know?
100%. Yeah, I feel like my brand and my business, the persona that I put on calls me higher to a higher standard that I like she is the woman that I want to be. Like she is, she meets her deadlines. She doesn't procrastinate. Like she is the coolest person I know, and like I get to be her when I step into my business. So, yeah.
Like what an exciting feeling too. Like I feel like what a great way to wake up in the morning and enjoy your business knowing that like I get to step into kind of this best most elevated version of myself that I am creating each and every day. Like I feel like you're like living your own vision board. And I think that is so freaking cool.
Every single day. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Every single day. It's so cool.
I love it. Well, I know that we've been chatting so much about things, and I want to give you an opportunity to tell us a little bit more too about, again, what you do for your clients, who you work best for. I know we've touched on it a little bit, but I want to make sure anyone listening who's like, oh shit, like I got to get to know Meaghan more, how they can find you. And then I'll ask you our final kind of wrap up questions as we close it out.
Yeah. So I am a strategic bookkeeper and fractional CFO. And what that just means is that I am excellent at pulling out the trends and KPIs and the things that you need to know about your numbers that are going to help you make decisions in the future. So whereas a normal bookkeeper might just focus on things that has happened in the past already, they focus on data entry, they send you your reports, and then you don't talk to them again until next month. That's ideal. But for me, I am constantly looking forward. There's always strategy involved, which is why my prices, my packages are much more on the higher end of a bookkeeper, but you always get my strategy mind involved. So I work best with online service providers in general, but my typical niche is online service providers. I do have a few like aesthetics businesses who have like in-person, studios, but they're still service providers. So that's what I do and who I work with.
Yes, and tell us something. I mean, I feel like we've dove into so many things you love about your brand, but I want to know if you had to pick a favorite thing about your current brand, what would it be?
Well, I'm really excited about the merch that I have coming out, which I feel like is not a normal, bookkeeper brand thing to do. Although I do know a few of my friends do have merch, but just like in general, I love the way that I'm diversifying and like creating these different arms of my brand, because I really have always wanted it to be something so much bigger than just me freelancing bookkeeping or me creating an accounting firm, whatever that may look like. I wanted it to be a global brand that anyone could interact with, even if they're not hiring me for done-for-you services or coaching of some kind. Like I wanted it to be something that you could buy merch from, or you could, like, I'm going to be going, I'm on a podcast tour right now, media experiences, billboards, like we're going to go the whole nine. And I can't even imagine, like, I can't even conceptualize the span of different things that we're going to have in the Hot Girl CFO. So yeah.
I am so freaking excited for this merch, by the way. So everyone, please like follow Meaghan online. We'll have Meaghan share all of her info too in a second. But I want to also ask, what is something that you wish you were doing differently in your brand? Or is maybe something that you're kind of working on or fine tuning and tweaking?
Yeah, well, first of all, this is one of my merch items. This is clients only get this hat. So, but we'll have to be purchased merch soon. Okay. I don't know if this is something that I would change necessarily, but at the beginning of the Hot Girl CFO, it was meant to be an agency. It was meant to be a team of hot girls that you got. You got a CFO, you got a bookkeeper, and you got a tax person. Because the main solution that the Hot Girl CFO was supposed to be able to provide was, I saw these high six-figure into seven-figure earners have such disjointed money teams. Their CPA didn't talk to their bookkeeper, didn't talk to their CFO, or they didn't have a CFO, or they didn't, it was just like very disjointed or unformed tax teams. So, I'm sorry, money teams. And, like I said, extenuating circumstances happened. I ended up launching this by myself and just deciding that, like, it's going to be me for now, and I will cross that bridge when I come to it. And when people are ready for the Hot Girl team, I will start to assemble it. And I'm feeling like that's happening now, as like that push toward needing the full solution of the full Hot Girl team. And let me tell you, it would have been way easier for me to start off as an agency than me moving into an agency model now, just because I have so many clients that are in just bookkeeping or just CFO. And the point of the agency was, you get us all, and that's like what we do. Like, that's what we specialize. You don't come to us just for CFO or just for bookkeeping or just for tax. You get us all or nothing. So I'm like trying to have to figure out where my current clients are going to fit into this new agency model. So the agency model, I think, is still probably a year away or so. I'm starting to study for my own enrolled agent certification to now file taxes for my clients. So hoping to step into that role on my own. But yeah, just like moving pieces. There's always so many moving pieces.
Ain't that the truth, especially as you continue to grow a business. So I so appreciate, Meaghan, you coming on here. How can people get in contact with you to see all the awesome shit you're doing online with your brand, if they want to work with you, things like that? Like, where do they find you and where can they find this awesome merch?
Yeah, so I play on Instagram and on Threads at the Hot Girl CFO on both. My website is thehotgirlcfo.com, and my DMs are always open if you want to come say hi because you listened to the episode. If you have a question, please dive into my DMs. I'm an open book, and merch will be available very, very soon. I'm hoping like by the end of the year we will have it up on the website. So
Hell yeah, everyone. Well, all of those links are going to be in the comments for you. Don't worry, I've got you covered. And Meaghan, thank you again so much for coming on and chatting.
thank you. This was so fun.